Third graders, today is our last day to work on our leaf dish, so I'm going to show you what we need to do and what you need for today. Your goal for today is to add in the main vein by attaching your extra piece that we cut last week. This piece should hopefully be nice and long, so it's longer so we can cut it down. Our goal is to make the main vein and then also to carve our secondary veins that go along the side of our leaf dish. So what you will need today is your slab that you cut last week, your drawing, which should have been right on top, your extra piece that's going to help us cut the vein. You will need a needle tool. You will need a scoring tool, this guy. You will need a tub of water, and you're going to need this tool, the metal skewer. Okay, so these are your tools. Once we have our tools, then we're ready to get started. Okay, so what our first job is to cut this main vein that goes down here. Now when I look at my clay piece, I can't really see it anymore because the charcoal wore off, so I'm going to use my drawing. That's why we kept it. So I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to lay it on top, and my goal is to cut a piece that matches the size and shape of this main vein. So for many of you that just have one that goes straight up, you can just sort of line up the edge and then use your tool, and it's not going to be perfect, but you can cut a piece that looks like it about matches the size and shape of this vein. I wanted to show you with the Kahlo that you notice that the Kahlo's main vein kind of goes down like a Y. So if you have a Kahlo, what you can do is take one end of your clay strip and go down the middle, and you can cut it just a little bit so that now I have that Y shape. Now I can kind of put it on there and see, is that about the right size? I need to probably cut it down a little bit, so then I'm going to go through and just carve away until I feel like I have the shape of my main vein. So I'm actually going to carve this down. So boys and girls, I'm just using my drawing as a guide to give me about the shape of my main vein. Okay, once I have that, I'm ready to attach it to my slab. When we attach clay, we have to follow this method. We have to score, which means rough up our clay so that it's rough. Slip, which means adding a little bit of water on our hand and adding that to the clay to make it stick. We stick the piece on and wiggle it to make sure that it's stuck, and then we smooth it. The smoother pieces are, the better chance that they won't fall apart. So looking at my piece here, the first step is to score. I have to score two things, the vein and the leaf. So I'm going to turn this piece over using my scoring tool. You also can use a rib, which is one of those kind of serrated blades, something that will really rough it up. Notice how rough mine is. Okay, the rougher it is, the better it's going to stick. So I scored that piece, and then I need to score where I'm going to attach it. So I know that it attaches about right there, all the way down the middle. So after score, the next step is to slip. So that means I'm going to take water, just a tiny bit of water on my fingers. I'm just going to rub it on. Think of Velcro. So what we've done now is we're creating Velcro with these two pieces. Slip that guy. Just using my fingers, just kind of gets like glue in there that's going to stick it together. Okay, now that I've slipped both, now I'm going to put this on top. That's called stick. So I want to get it in the right spot. Exactly. Okay, and now my last step is to smooth. So I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm going to really try to make sure that this piece is really nice and smooth and attached. Remember last time we talked about edges that are sharp if we don't make sure that we smooth them and round them with our fingers. Okay, so I'm smoothing my edges here. And I'm giving it the wiggle test. So if I wiggle it, it should not move around. Otherwise I need to stick it on there more. Okay, now I've attached my main vein. One of my last steps is having to draw in these secondary veins with this skewer tool. Now I might have to refer to my drawing because some of the lines I can't see anymore after I've worked with my clay. So trick with this skewer tool is we're not going to be pushing straight down. That will drag too deeply into your clay. So you're going to make sure to use this at an angle. So I'm left-handed. So if I'm looking at one of my veins, it looks like it goes here. Just getting it deep enough that I can see that impression. You definitely want to be able to see it. So I'm just pushing it in. Notice from an angle. Let me show what happens if you push it straight in. Holy moly, you're going to cut your clay and then it won't be able to work. So we definitely want to make sure we use our tool. Many of you are right-handed. Let me show you with your right hand. You're going to use it at this angle and just drag it along that line so we have a nice line there. Okay, so we're going to do that with all of our secondary veins. Notice that I observed my leaf. I didn't just start drawing lines. I really wanted to make sure I drew the lines that I saw, because this is a drawing that's translated into this dish. Our last step, once we have the veins drawn, is this is going to be a dish, and right now it's just flat. So my goal is just to take the edges and just slightly bend them upwards, molding them depending on the shape of your dish. Can't make them too tall, but our goal is to mold them slightly. Just kind of work the clay gently with your fingers until we have something that has a little bit of shape. So it's going to be a shallow dish, but we definitely have a little bit of bend there, and that's our goal, just to have a slight bend very gently with your hands to get your clay dish to be more dish-like. You guys see that? Boys and girls, any extra scraps that you have, you're going to break into little pieces, and Mrs. Snyder has a recycle bag that we're going to be putting all of these pieces, because Mrs. Snyder will recycle this clay to be used again.